The Great Hall of the Galactic Defense Council had never been so quiet. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds sat in complete silence, their eyes fixed on the holographic display floating in the center of the room. The image showed another world turning black with death, another civilization falling to the plague. Elder Stone gripped the edges of his floating platform, his pale blue skin turning almost white with stress. As the oldest member of the council, he had seen many crises, but nothing like this. The plague was unlike anything they had faced before. It adapted faster than their best scientists could develop cures. That makes 13 worlds in the past month, announced Director Reed, her crystalline form reflecting the dim light of the chamber. The Swarm Collective's weapon is perfect. Her voice cracked, something unusual for her species. It targets any biological system rated Class 3 or below on the galactic scale. Our most advanced medical technologies can't stop it. The room erupted in worried whispers. Elder Stone watched as representatives from various worlds began to argue. Some wanted to surrender to the Swarm Collective. Others suggested destroying infected planets to contain the spread. None of their ideas would work. He knew that much. "Please," Stone's voice carried across the chamber, silencing the chaos. "We must think differently. Our advanced methods have failed. Perhaps," he paused, knowing how crazy his next words would sound, "perhaps we need something more primitive. Something the swarm wouldn't expect." Director Reed turned her crystalline head toward him. "What do you mean, Elder?" Stone activated his personal display, bringing up an image that made several council members gasp. It showed a planet wrapped in violent storms, with active volcanoes and aggressive life forms. There is a world classified as a death world by our standards. Its inhabitants evolved under conditions we would consider impossible for intelligent life. "Earth," whispered Reed. "The human world. But they're barely space-capable. They're still fighting among themselves. She searched for the right word, dangerous." "Exactly," Stone smiled for the first time in days. "They're dangerous because they had to be. Their world made them that way. Their bodies fight off diseases that would kill most of us instantly. Their immune systems are constantly at war with their environment, and winning." A tall, thin counselor stood up. "You can't be serious. Bringing Deathworlders into this crisis? They could be as dangerous as the plague." Stone pulled up more data. "Look at their biology. Their bodies are filled with bacteria they live with in harmony. They eat foods that would poison most species. Their stomach acid can dissolve metal. And most importantly," he paused for effect, "they adapt. Not over millennia like we did, but quickly, aggressively, constantly." The council chamber grew quiet again, but this time with thoughtful silence rather than despair. Director Reed floated closer to the holographic display of Earth. "Our advanced immune systems are failing because they're too specialized, too perfect. But humans are imperfect," Stone finished. "Their bodies are still rough, still ready to fight anything new. They live on a world that tries to kill them every day, and they don't just survive, they thrive." "It's risky," Reed admitted. "If we bring humans into this, we're not just getting their biology. We're getting their way of thinking, their aggressive problem-solving, what's the word they use? Their gut instincts." Stone looked around the chamber, at the faces of the most advanced beings in the galaxy, all of them scared, all of them out of options. "At this point, what do we have to lose? Our perfect solutions are failing. Maybe it's time for an imperfect one." The vote was quick. When facing extinction, even the proudest civilizations could set aside their prejudices. As the council dispersed to prepare for first contact, Stone looked once more at the image of Earth, with its churning oceans and violent storms. Send the message, he ordered. Tell them everything. Let's hope these Deathworlders are as tough as their planet suggests. Because right now, their primitive strength might be the only thing that can save us all. Dr. James Walker stared at his computer screen, rubbing his tired eyes. The message blinked again, definitely not a mistake. After 15 years of searching for alien signals at the remote Montana research station, he'd almost given up hope. Now, on a quiet Tuesday morning, first contact had literally appeared in his inbox. "Hey, come look at this," he called out to his research partner. Dr. Maria Ross walked over, coffee mug in hand. She nearly dropped it when she read the message. That's impossible," she whispered. The message was clear, written in perfect English. "Earth scientists, we need your help. Humanity's unique biology may be the key to saving the galaxy. Please respond." James typed a quick reply, following the standard first contact protocols they'd practiced, but never expected to use. "This could be a prank," he said, but his hands were shaking with excitement. The response came instantly. "Look outside." They rushed to the window. There, hovering above the research station's parking lot, was a ship shaped like a giant crystal. It glowed with a soft blue light that made the morning snow sparkle. "Well," Maria said, her voice surprisingly calm, "I guess it's not a prank." The ship landed without a sound. A door appeared in its smooth surface, and 3 beings emerged. The first looked like living glass, moving with liquid grace. The second was tall and blue-skinned, wearing robes covered in moving symbols. The third floated on a small platform, its body wrapped in swirling mist. James and Maria walked outside to meet them. Years of scientific training hadn't prepared them for this moment. Dr. Walker, Dr. Ross, the glass-like being spoke, its voice crystal clear. "I am Director Reed. This is Elderstone." She gestured to the blue being, and Medical Officer Mist. The floating figure bowed slightly. "We've come because we need help," Elder Stone said. "Our worlds are dying. A engineered plague is destroying entire civilizations. Our best technology, our most advanced medicine, nothing works." James frowned. "I don't understand. We're barely starting to explore space. How could we help you?" Director Reed's crystalline form sparkled as she explained. "Your bodies, your immune systems, they're remarkable. You live with millions of bacteria inside you. Your cells fight off invaders we've never even imagined. You eat foods that would kill most species instantly." "You mean we're dangerous?" Maria asked. "You're survivors," Elder Stone corrected. "Your world, what we call a death world, forced you to evolve incredible defenses. We've become too perfect, too specialized. But you're still raw, still adaptable." Medical Officer Mist floated forward, displaying a hologram of human DNA next to alien DNA. "Look here," its voice was like a soft wind. "Your genetic code shows signs of constant adaptation. You don't just fight diseases, you learn from them. We lost that ability millions of years ago." James looked at Maria. They'd worked together for 10 years, searching for alien life. Now aliens were here, asking for help. It seemed unreal. "If we help you," Maria said slowly, "we'd need our lab equipment. Our research. We can't just." "We'll provide everything," Director Reed interrupted. "Our ship has a full medical bay. We can create any tools you need. But we must hurry. More worlds are falling every day." James thought about all the movies where aliens came to Earth as invaders. Now they were here as refugees, asking for help. The irony wasn't lost on him. "When do we leave?" he asked. Now, Elder Stone said, "We've already cleared it with your government. They understand the importance of this mission. As they walked toward the ship, Maria grabbed James's arm. "Are we crazy? We're about to go into space with aliens we just met." James looked back at their small research station, then at the beautiful crystal ship. "Probably," he grinned. "But isn't this why we became scientists? To make discoveries, to help others." "To boldly go," Maria laughed. "Exactly." The ship's door closed behind them with a soft hum. As they lifted off, James watched their world grow smaller below them. Humanity's first steps into a larger galaxy weren't coming as conquerors or explorers, but as healers. Somehow, that felt right. The alien ship's medical bay looked nothing like anything James or Maria had seen before. Instead of metal and plastic, everything seemed to be made of living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Medical Officer Mist floated between different workstations, its misty form shifting with excitement as it studied the first blood samples from the humans. "Impossible," Mist whispered, its voice like a gentle breeze. "Your white blood cells are attacking the test bacteria and winning, even without any previous exposure." James watched his own blood cells on the giant floating screen. "That's normal for us. Our immune system is designed to fight unknown threats." Director Reed's crystalline form sparkled with concern. "Designed? You mean your scientists modified it?" "No," Maria explained, trying to hide her smile. "It evolved naturally. Earth has millions of different bacteria and viruses. Our bodies had to learn to fight anything new that came along." The aliens looked at each other in what seemed like shock. Elderstone spoke first, his blue skin shifting to a lighter shade. "You mean your bodies fight unknown diseases, automatically, without any programming?" "Of course," James said. "Don't yours?" Medical Officer Mist's form swirled faster. "Our immune systems are precisely engineered. They fight specific threats perfectly, but new diseases." The alien paused. "Well, that's why we need your help." Maria walked over to another screen showing the plague's structure. Even with her limited understanding of alien biology, she could see why it was so deadly. "This plague, it keeps changing, doesn't it? Every time your immune systems learn to fight it, it becomes something new." "Exactly," Director Reed said. "Our perfect defenses are useless against something that constantly changes. We've lost 4 more worlds since we left Earth." James studied the data scrolling across the screens. "We need to stop thinking like engineers and start thinking like survivors," he said. "Maria, remember that bacteria we found in Yellowstone? The one that kept adapting to the changing hot spring conditions?" Maria's eyes lit up. "The one that made random mutations every few generations. That could work." She turned to the aliens. "We might have an idea, but you might not like it." "Why not?" Elderstone asked. "Because it's messy," James explained. "Instead of trying to make a perfect cure, we let the solution evolve on its own. We create an environment where only bacteria that can fight the plague survive, then let natural selection do the work." The aliens' reaction was exactly what they expected. Director Reed's crystal form clouded over. Elderstone's skin turned almost white. Medical Officer Mist's form became so thin it was barely visible. "That's barbaric," Reed finally said. "You want to let organisms fight each other, with no control over the outcome." "That's how nature works," Maria said firmly. "That's how we survived on Earth. Not by being perfect, but by being adaptable." "It's too dangerous," Elderstone declared. "Too unpredictable. We need a solution we can control." James pointed at the screen showing another world being consumed by the plague. "Is this controlled enough for you?" Sometimes the messy solution is the only one that works. The room fell silent. The aliens watched more data stream in about the plague's spread, while James and Maria waited. Finally, Medical Officer Mist spoke. "Perhaps," it said softly, "we have been too attached to perfection. Our civilizations advanced by removing chaos, by controlling everything. But against this plague, our control is our weakness." Director Reed's form cleared slightly. "You really think this could work?" "On Earth," Maria explained, "some of our best medicines came from studying how bacteria fight each other in the soil. Nature had already solved problems we didn't even know we had." Elderstone moved closer to the screens. "If we did this, how would we start?" James grinned. "First, we need samples of every bacteria in our gut that helps us digest spicy food. Trust me, if anything can survive a war with this plague, it's the bacteria that lets humans eat ghost peppers." The aliens didn't understand the joke, but they understood the determination in his voice. As they began gathering samples, James caught Maria's eye. They both knew this was just the beginning. The real challenge would be convincing these advanced aliens to embrace a little chaos. "They're going to hate this," Maria whispered as she and James worked in the ship's medical bay during the night cycle. Most of the alien crew was resting, leaving the two humans alone with their unauthorized experiments. James carefully mixed another batch of human gut bacteria with samples of the plague. "They'll hate it less than watching more worlds die," he replied, checking the readings on the crystal screen. "Look at this. The bacteria from people who eat lots of fermented food is actually fighting back." They had spent 3 days watching the Alien Council debate about proper procedures, while 2 more worlds fell to the plague. The official response team was still arguing about which perfectly engineered solution to try first. James and Ross had decided they couldn't wait any longer. The door slid open with a soft hum. Both humans froze as Medical Officer Mist floated in. Its misty form swirled rapidly, a sign they had learned meant surprise or agitation. "What are you doing?" Mist asked, though it was clear it already knew. "These experiments weren't approved. The Council hasn't finished their risk assessment." Maria straightened up, refusing to look guilty. "Officer Mist, while the Council debates, millions are dying. We're testing something that might actually work." James pointed to his screen. "Look at these results. The bacteria that help us digest kimchi. It's not just fighting the plague, it's adapting to each new version. It's learning." Mist floated closer, its form shifting between curiosity and concern. "This is against all our protocols. Letting organisms fight naturally. It's dangerous, unpredictable." "Like a death world?" James asked quietly. "Sometimes dangerous and unpredictable is exactly what you need." The alien scientist moved to the main display, studying the results. "These readings, they're incredible. Your bacteria isn't just surviving, it's evolving faster than the plague can adapt. That's what bacteria does on Earth," Maria explained. "They've been fighting each other for billions of years. They're better at it than any engineered solution." A soft alarm sounded from the communication panel. Mist's form became almost transparent with distress. "Another world has fallen. The Swarm Collective's plague has reached the Outer Rim colonies." James and Maria shared a look. Finally, Maria spoke. "Officer Mist, we understand your concerns. But right now, being safe isn't working. Sometimes you have to take risks to save lives." The alien scientist hovered silently for a long moment. Then, to their surprise, it moved to the lab controls. "Show me what you've discovered so far. If we're going to break protocols, we should do it properly." For the next few hours, they worked together. Mist's advanced knowledge of alien biology combined perfectly with the humans' understanding of bacterial warfare. They tested different combinations, letting the strongest bacteria survive and evolve. It's beautiful, in a way, Miss said, watching the microscopic battle through the ship's advanced sensors. Your Earth organisms fight with such determination. That's because they've had plenty of practice, James grinned. Earth's been a battlefield for microscopic life since before humans existed. We just learned to use that battle to our advantage. The lab door opened again. This time, Director Reed and Elder Stone entered. Maria stepped forward, ready to defend their actions, but stopped when she saw their expressions. The council is still debating, Elder Stone said heavily. They want another week of discussion before approving any tests. Director Reed's crystal form was clouded with worry. We don't have a week. The plague has reached the mid-rim. At this rate, it will reach the core worlds in days. Both aliens looked at the humans' unauthorized experiment. Tell us you found something, Reed said quietly. James pulled up their latest results. We have. It's not perfect. It's not controlled. But it works. How sure are you? Elder Stone asked. Maria pointed to the latest test results. Sure enough to bet my life on it. These bacteria don't just fight the plague, they thrive on fighting it. Each generation gets stronger. The aliens looked at each other, then at Medical Officer Mist, who had moved protectively in front of the human scientists. Sometimes, Mist said, its voice firmer than they'd ever heard it, we must trust in nature's wisdom over our own. Elder Stone nodded slowly. Show us everything. If we're going to break all our rules, we might as well break them properly. Outside the ship's windows, another world turned dark with plague. But in the medical bay, for the first time, there was hope, born from the chaotic, uncontrolled, beautiful struggle that had shaped life on Earth. James was staring at his test results, not quite believing what he was seeing, when Maria burst into the lab, nearly knocking over a tray of samples. James, it's not just the bacteria, it's the acid, she shouted, waving her data pad excitedly. The crystal walls of the lab seemed to pulse with her enthusiasm. What do you mean? Elder Stone asked, moving closer. Over the past few days, the blue-skinned alien had started spending more time in the lab, fascinated by the humans' chaotic but effective methods. Maria pulled up her results on the main screen. We've been so focused on the bacteria, we missed something obvious. Look what happens when we expose the plague to human stomach acid. The display showed the plague organisms dissolving rapidly when exposed to the acid. Director Reed's crystal form sparkled with surprise. That's impossible. The plague adapts to everything we've tried. Except this, James said, understanding dawning on his face. Our stomach acid evolved to break down almost anything that might harm us. It's not specialized, it's just brutally effective. Medical Officer Mist floated closer to the screen, its misty form swirling with excitement. The acid, it's not attacking specific parts of the plague like our weapons do. It's just dissolving everything. Exactly, Maria grinned. Sometimes the simplest solution is the best. We don't need to outsmart the plague. We just need to dissolve it. Elder Stone's skin shifted to a lighter shade, a sign they'd learned meant deep thought. Our civilizations have spent millennia developing targeted, precise weapons. We never considered something so basic. That's because you've evolved past needing it, James explained. But on Earth, we still need strong stomach acid to deal with all the different things we eat. Our bodies kept this simple defense because it works. Director Reed moved to another screen, running simulations. The plague can't adapt to this because there's nothing to adapt to. It's like trying to adapt to being dropped in a volcano. And look at this, Maria said, pulling up more data. When we combine the acid with our bacteria, something amazing happens. The bacteria actually get stronger. The aliens gathered around the display. The images showed the human gut bacteria not just surviving the acid bath, but becoming more aggressive against the plague. Of course, Medical Officer Mist whispered, "Your bacteria have evolved to live in this acid. They're used to harsh conditions. The acid is making them stronger while destroying the plague." James started typing rapidly on his console. If we can replicate this acid and combine it with our evolved bacteria, we have both an immediate solution and a long-term defense, Maria finished. The acid kills the current plague, while the bacteria prevent it from coming back. Elderstone turned to Director Reed. This is nothing like what the council was expecting. They wanted an engineered solution, something precise and controlled. The council, Director Reed said firmly, can argue about precision while worlds die. This works. That's what matters. Medical Officer Mist had already started preparing larger test samples. We'll need to find a way to distribute it safely. Most species don't have the protective mechanisms humans do. We can help with that too, Maria said. On Earth, we use special coatings to protect medicines from stomach acid. We can reverse that idea, coat the acid to protect other species from it. James looked out the lab window at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Swarm Collective thought they had created the perfect weapon. But they had never visited Earth. They didn't understand that sometimes the most powerful solutions were also the simplest. "How long until we can start production?" Elder Stone asked. "A few hours for the first batch," James replied. "We'll need to use the ship's manufacturing systems at full capacity." Director Reed's form crystallized into a determined shape. "Do it. I'll inform the council after we begin." Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than permission. As they began preparing the production sequence, Maria caught James's eye and smiled. They had come to space expecting to find advanced solutions to their own problems. Instead, they found that the simple defenses Earth had given them were exactly what the galaxy needed. Sometimes the oldest solutions were the best ones. The main council chamber erupted in chaos as James and Maria finished explaining their solution. Hundreds of alien representatives shouted and gestured, their voices mixing into a storm of protest. You want to spray modified human stomach acid across entire worlds. One counselor shouted, their tentacles waving in horror. That's barbaric. More barbaric than watching those worlds die, Maria asked, standing her ground. On the massive display behind her, another planet was turning black with plague. This time, it was Centauri Prime, one of the largest trading hubs in the galaxy. Elderstone stepped forward, his blue skin almost white with stress. Members of the council, we no longer have the luxury of debating. The plague has reached the core worlds. Our time is running out. Director Reed's crystal form pulsed with urgent light as she displayed the latest data. Centauri Prime will fall within hours. 5 more systems are showing first signs of infection. The Swarm Collective's weapon is moving faster than ever. James pointed to their test results, floating in holographic form above the council floor. Our solution works. It's not pretty, it's not elegant, but it stops the plague dead in its tracks. The acid dissolves it completely, and our modified bacteria prevent it from coming back. Medical Officer Mist floated forward, its misty form unusually solid, a sign of absolute certainty. I've verified their results myself. The human solution is effective. Yes, it's crude by our standards, but nature doesn't care about our standards. The council chamber grew quieter as new emergency signals flashed across the screens. The plague had just reached the diplomatic ring, home to 1,000 different species embassies. A tall crystalline counselor rose from their seat. The humans' plan, how quickly can it be implemented? We've already prepared the first batch, Maria explained. The ship's manufacturing systems are producing more. We can start saving worlds within the hour. And the side effects? Another counselor asked. Minimal, James answered. We've coated the acid mixture so it won't harm normal tissue. It only activates when it contacts the plague. The bacteria are designed to die off once their job is done. The council's leader, a being made of pure light, floated to the center of the chamber. Members of the council, we must vote. The human solution is unsettling. It goes against our beliefs about proper medical treatment. But we are out of options and out of time. The chamber was silent as the vote was taken. On the screens, they could see the plague spreading across Centauri Prime like black ink on paper. The vote is complete, the light being announced. By a margin of 3 votes, the human solution is approved. May the stars forgive us if we are wrong. James and Maria didn't wait for more discussion. They were already running toward the ship's loading bay, where containers of their solution waited. Director Reed and Medical Officer Mist followed close behind. We'll hit Centauri Prime first, James said as they boarded their ship. It's the most populated world under attack. If we can save it, we can save anything. As their ship lifted off, Maria watched the council chamber grow smaller below them. They really hate this solution, don't they? She asked Elder Stone, who had joined their emergency response team. The blue-skinned alien's color had returned to normal. We spent thousands of years developing perfect, precise solutions. Using stomach acid and bacteria feels like going backwards. But he looked at the plague map, showing more worlds turning black. Sometimes going backwards is the only way forward. Their ship jumped to faster than light speed, racing towards Centauri Prime. In the cargo hold, containers of modified human stomach acid and evolved bacteria waited to be deployed. It wasn't the elegant solution the Council had wanted. It wasn't the precise, engineered answer they had hoped for. But as they watched Centauri Prime grow larger in their view screen, none of that mattered. They had a weapon that worked, born from the harsh evolution of Earth's deadliest life forms, humans and their microscopic allies. Sometimes the most powerful solutions came from the simplest sources. And sometimes, when all hope was fading, you needed a Deathworlder's perspective to survive. 3 months after the first deployment of the human solution on Centauri Prime, James and Maria stood before the Galactic Defense Council again. This time, the chamber wasn't filled with fear and argument, but with a different kind of energy, hope mixed with humility. The final reports are in, Director Reed announced, her crystal form glowing brightly. The plague has been eliminated from all affected worlds. The human solution was completely successful. On the giant screens around them, images showed worlds healing. Where there had been Black Death, now green life was returning. The modified stomach acid had destroyed the plague, while the evolved bacteria had protected against any attempt by the Swarm Collective to release new versions. Though not in the way we expected, Medical Officer Mist added, its misty form swirling with amusement. The Swarm Collective's surrender message was interesting. James grinned, remembering. The Swarm had given up not because their plague was destroyed, but because they were terrified of what other primitive weapons humans might have. The idea that a species would use stomach acid as a weapon had completely broken their understanding of warfare. The council leader's light form brightened. Dr. Walker, Dr. Ross, your solutions saved trillions of lives. But more importantly, you've taught us a valuable lesson. Maria nodded. That sometimes the simplest answer is the best one. That and more, Elder Stone said, his blue skin glowing with warmth. "You showed us that in our rush to advance, we lost something important. We forgot the wisdom that evolution gave us." Another counselor stood up. "We spent thousands of years trying to perfect ourselves, to move beyond our primitive origins. We thought that made us stronger. We were wrong." "Earth is still harsh," James explained. "It still tries to kill us sometimes. But that harshness keeps us strong, keeps us adaptable. Every challenge makes us better at surviving the next one." Director Reed moved to the center of the chamber, which is why we've called this special session. The Council has a proposal for humanity. The chamber's lights dimmed, and a new image appeared. The official seal of the Galactic Defense Council, but with a modification. In its center was now an image of Earth. "We would like to formally invite humanity to join the Council," the leader announced. "Not just as members, but as teachers." Maria blinked in surprise. "Teachers? But we're centuries behind you in technology." "But millions of years ahead of us in some ways," Medical Officer Mist replied. "Your bodies are still powerful, still adapting. You understand how to work with nature instead of just trying to control it. Many worlds in our alliance have become too comfortable," Elderstone explained. "We need your Deathworld wisdom. We need to remember that strength comes not from avoiding challenges, but from facing them." James looked at Maria, seeing his own amazement reflected in her eyes. They had come to space expecting to find answers. Instead, they had shown advanced aliens the value of Earth's harsh lessons. "We accept," James said, "on one condition." The Council leader's light flickered curiously. "Name it." "We want to establish a new research center," Maria explained. "Not one focused on perfect solutions, but on studying the simple, natural defenses that evolution created. Sometimes old wisdom is the best wisdom." The chamber erupted in agreement. As the Council discussed plans for the new center, James walked to the window. He could see Earth from here, a blue marble spinning in space. From up here, you couldn't see the storms, the volcanoes, or any of the other dangers that had shaped humanity. "Hard to believe," Maria said, joining him. "We came to space thinking we were behind everyone else. Turns out we just took a different path." "A harder path," James smiled. "But that's what made us strong." Outside, ships were already heading toward Earth, carrying alien scientists eager to learn from humanity's primitive wisdom. The galaxy had called a Deathworlder, and in doing so, had learned that true strength comes not from escaping one's origins, but from embracing them. Sometimes the harshest worlds created the strongest survivors. And sometimes when all hope was fading, that strength was exactly what the galaxy needed.